Hey guys, welcome to another recap from New Zealand's biggest gap year, where a few years ago, Robin and I did an epic challenge around New Zealand where we had to do 365 days of 365 activities. And on day 193, we went heli-hiking on the Tasman Glacier, which is in the National Park of Mount Cook. So join us for this video to see what that experience is like, and at the end of the video, I'll be going through some of the comments and questions you guys had the first time we published the video, so I'll see you toward the end.
This morning we are leaving the beautiful high country lodge in Twizel and we are making our way to New Zealand's tallest mountain and the jewel of the Southern Alps, which is beautiful Mount Cook, and the drive to get there is absolutely stunning.
So we're here to take a helicopter all the way up to the Tasman Glacier and hike it, and then take a helicopter back because we're not hiking all the way down.
As soon as we arrive, we're meeting Tex from Texas, which is going to be our guide and a stand-up comedian.
Everyone here needs a breath test, alright? Who was out last night?
Equipped with some brand new boots, an awesome windproof jacket, some crampons and a few more gears, we are heading toward the helicopter. As soon as we board the helicopter and the propeller starts going, the tension starts building. We are about to fly above New Zealand's longest glacier and just below New Zealand's tallest mountain.
We are super excited as we're about to fly through one of New Zealand's grandest and biggest landscapes. So we're going to be following the Tasman Glacier Valley right next to Aoraki Mount Cook, and while we're flying in our headsets we can hear the pilot giving us lots of commentary along the way, specifically telling us about the Tasman Lake. The Tasman Lake is where the Tasman Glacier terminates, and it only actually formed in 1989 and has been expanding ever since. It's now 5 kilometers long, and the only way we can really tell the scale is when the pilot points the little yellow boats on the lake. But this is the moment we've been waiting for. We are now landing on the Tasman Glacier.
Like most helicopter landing, it's a bit of a chaos. There is a lot of noise and a lot of wind until the helicopter leaves and Tex starts with a bit of a safety briefing.
If we can grab the crampons out of those bags.
Believe it or not, putting on crampons is actually not the easiest thing ever. It looks very easy, but there is a bit of a dance to it, passing the loops and the ropes a little bit everywhere around the boots to make sure it's really well tight and secured. Once everything is done, Tex is taking the time to tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing today and a few really interesting facts about the Tasman Glacier. On top of being incredibly funny, Tex is super experienced. He has spent over a decade on New Zealand Glacier, and particularly the Fox and the French Joseph Glacier, and he tells us a lot of the difference between all those glaciers before taking us on a bit of a hike.
The first thing I notice when we start walking along the glacier is that we are completely alone here. Us five are the only people on New Zealand's longest glacier, so that's really awesome. And amongst everything that Tex is telling us, he actually tells us that a third of New Zealand's glacial ice is actually within this very glacier. Nevertheless, it's still a retreating glacier. It's projected that by 2045, this glacier might retreat by 5 kilometers. Along the way, Tex is showing us all these sort of snow traps between the ice where you really don't know what's underneath them. So he's giving us a bit of a demonstration of what could be a crevasse. And the best way to handle this is to basically step over them.
One of the interesting facts of doing a hike on the glacier in midday is that this is usually the time where most avalanches happen. And Tex tells us to listen for the massive rumble that could come from any side of the mountains. And as soon as we hear the rumble, we'll be able to locate where they are, and usually the avalanche happens a little bit after that. So technically, if we hear the rumble, we could be able to see the avalanche. Sadly, we don't see or hear any, but that's maybe for the better. Tex is also showing us a lot of crevasses and what they could be hiding. Some crevasses are so deep they could be hiding bigger buildings than the tallest buildings of New Zealand. That's how deep and wide they are. And he also tells us that if we were to fall through those crevasses, there is almost no chances that we will be found. This reassures us that Tex knows what he's talking about, and we make sure that we follow his step very closely. And then we stumble upon a beautiful fresh glacial pool.
Oh, you can drink from that.
It looks a little bit too deep. I don't drink deep water. It tastes better than other glaciers.
Well, it depends what's underneath it.
best tasting glacier in New Zealand.
Exactly. If I have to rate glaciers in tastiness of the water, Tasman is the best one. But I do think it's because it is much older, much bigger, and this ice right here, I've met it for, about an extra 10 million years, which is really, you can feel the aroma of the extra 10 million years, you can feel the dinosaur piece, and I can feel also the tonnage from trilobites.
Because the Tasman Glacier is so big, there's different parts of the glacier that you can do a heli-hike on. For instance, we're doing the Adventurer heli-hike, which is pretty much in the middle of the glacier. But no matter on what heli-hike you go on, this glacier is ever changing, so no two tours will be the same. However, we're going to have loads of opportunities to check out the top of the Tasman Glacier, so stick around for those videos. I'm actually really surprised at how long we actually get to spend on the glacier. We spend 2 hours here surrounded by this epic alpine scenery, surrounded by the highest mountains in New Zealand. It really is super stunning. I can't stop taking photos. And then we move on to the next feature of this glacier that Tex is super keen to show us, which is an ice cave, or more like an ice wormhole.
This ice cave is really cool. It's all about maneuvering your way all the way at the bottom of this tiny hole, and then when you arrive at the end, you need to maneuver yourself all the way around to be able to stand up in this almost vertical cave in order to be able to climb your way back out of the hole.
How awkward was that?
It was a bit awkward. I felt like a hamster in one of those tubes.
In true New Zealand fashion, as soon as we are making our way back toward where the helicopter is going to be coming to pick us up, the weather changes dramatically. The clouds are here, it starts getting really windy and cold on top of the glacier, so it's a great time for us to finish the tour. So we're making our way back toward the makeshift helipad, where we're going to be picked back up by the team from InFlight, which is going to take us out of the glacier and back safely to the Mount Cook village. But because the Tasman Glacier is so huge, sizes and distances can be quite deceiving, and it actually takes us about 30 minutes to make our way toward the helipad. The helicopter landing is on par with every blockbuster action movie that I've ever seen. Everything is shaking, the wind is battering our clothes, our bags and our faces, and boarding the helicopter makes us feel like superhero. I really love taking helicopters, and as soon as we are taking off from the glacier, we start getting some views and understanding the views even better because we can see where we were hiking just a few minutes ago.
On the way back to Mount Cook Airport, it really feels like the pilot isn't rushing to get back to base, giving us plenty of time to soak up these amazing glacial views and get loads of photos along the way. This is definitely one of the highlights of this tour. I just can't get enough of flying over this area. Again, seeing that amazing Tasman Lake where we can even see icebergs floating in the lake itself in its vibrant blue colours. And not to mention all the mountains and forest around. This really is such an extreme and epic landscape and exactly what many people come to New Zealand for. As we onboard the helicopter, we say a huge thank you to the Mount Cook Glacier guiding team. This has been such an awesome introduction to Aoraki Mount Cook National Park. And now we're hitting the road to Mount Cook Lodge, which is going to be our accommodation for the next few days.
He has no idea what he's doing. He's just making up shit. He's fucking
Why are we so bad?
Oh, how I wish I was back on.
How are we so Oh, you're just there.
Alright, I hope you enjoyed that video. Now let's check out some of the comments and questions you guys had the first time we published the video. Now we had quite a lot of comments, so I'll just go through ones that are more sort of questions so I can answer them. Alright, so we've got for Ava saying, incredible footage. So it's okay to fly a drone there? Okay, so normally you wouldn't be able to fly a drone on the Tasman Glacier. We did get special permission from Mount Cook Glacier Guiding to do that, and we got all the permissions and the permissions needed to fly the drone there. Obviously there is a lot of air traffic and helicopters that fly over this area, so you definitely need to get permission. Pretty much if you are flying a drone anywhere in the Mount Cook National Park, so bear that in mind. If you want to know more information about drone laws in New Zealand, then we do have an article on nzpocketguide.com. If you just head over to the website, search drone in the search bar, and you'll find lots of information to tell you more about where you can't fly a drone in New Zealand. We also got a comment from Phil saying, "Hey there, I've just discovered your website and vlog and I am in awe. Are you being paid for this or are you self-funded?" So we are self-funded, and we were self-funded for doing this trip. So if you want a good way to say thanks, or a free way to say thanks, is to always click like on one of our videos so that we can just show you guys more of what we're doing. And also you can always head over to one of our live sessions as well and give us a super chat in our live sessions, which we do every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. That's always a nice way to say thanks as well and cover some of the travel costs. Okay, we have Fizbizu saying, "Hi, awesome video. Due to the time restriction, I'm thinking of whether to go to Tasman Glacier or Franz Josef. What do you think is better?" So if it is to do with time restrictions, in terms of which experience is better, they are slightly different in that Franz Josef is a glacier where you'll see a lot more sort of helicopter traffic going over. You'll see other tour groups on the glacier, but compared to Tasman, on the Tasman Glacier, we saw no other tour groups doing that experience. I think there's only 2 companies in at the Tasman Glacier that are doing heli-hiking. So if you want a sort of more, secluded sort of feeling of just you and your small tour group, you're going to get that more in the Tasman Glacier than you are at the Franz Josef Glacier. But the Franz Josef Glacier is a very popular one to go to, that a lot of people, prefer to go there because it's sort of a big name. And if you want to say like, I've done the Franz Josef Glacier, then that's a reason to go to the Franz Josef Glacier. But if you are short on time, the thing with the Franz Josef Glacier is that it's on the west coast of the South Island, which receives more frequently bad weather, which cancels a lot of their trips. Anything to do with flying helicopters, if it's bad weather, if it's really heavy rain or high winds, that sort of thing, then they tend to cancel trips. So it tends to be, if you are on short time and maybe you've only got one night to spend somewhere, then Mount Cook might be a better option, because that's on the east coast of the Southern Alps, and on that side of the mountains, that's where they experience fewer rainy days. You're more likely to have your tour not cancelled. So that's sort of the recommendation that I would give for if you have less time. All right, so that is all the sort of main questions from that video. If you do have any questions or comments of your own, you can pop them in the comment section below. And as I said, you can also join us for our live Q&A sessions that we do every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. And you can just click on subscribe and the notification bell to get a notification for when those live sessions are in your time zone. All right, guys, I'll see you for the next video.